Ladies and gentlemen, settle in, because what you are about to witness is not a highlight reel, it is not a recap, it is a reckoning. It is the moment the entire landscape of women's tennis shifted beneath the pristine grass of the Steffi Graf Stadion in Berlin, Germany, on the evening of June the 18th, 2026. A wild card entrant from the Philippines, a nation with no deep tradition in professional tennis, no Grand Slam pedigree, no generational pipeline, walked onto center court and dismantled the world number 2, not in a tie break, not in 3 agonizing sets, in straight sets, 7-5, 6-4, controlled, calculated, complete. Alexandra Eala did not merely defeat Elena Rybakina, she announced in the most emphatic language the sport understands, victory under pressure, that the old hierarchy is no longer safe, that the future does not wait, that it arrives unannounced on grass wearing a wild card badge and carrying the weight of 115 million people on her 21-year-old shoulders. Let us be clear about what happened here. Let us not soften it with qualifiers or dilute it with caveats. This was the single biggest victory in the history of Philippine tennis. Period. Full stop. A victory over Rybakina would likely stand as the biggest singles win in Philippine tennis history. That was the pre-match analysis. That was the speculation. Now it is a fact. Now it is carved into the record books, and no pundit, no algorithm, no ranking formula can take it back. To understand the magnitude of this result, you must first understand the opponent. Elena Rybakina is not simply a top-ranked player. She is currently ranked world number 2 in women's singles by the WTA and has won 13 WTA Tour-level singles titles, including 2 majors at the 2022 Wimbledon Championships and the 2026 Australian Open, as well as the 2025 WTA Finals. Read that again. 2 Grand Slam titles, the WTA Finals crown, 13 tour-level trophies. Rybakina's record in 2026 is 31 wins to 8 losses, a staggering 79.5% win rate in one of the most competitive seasons in recent WTA memory. She had recorded her 12th consecutive victory over a top 10 player, becoming only the 5th player to do so in the 21st century after Venus Williams, Serena Williams, Justine Henin, and Iga Swiatek. This is not a player in decline. This is not a fading champion nursing old injuries. This is a woman at the absolute zenith of her powers, a 6-foot force of nature whose serve is widely regarded as one of the most devastating weapons in the women's game. Her career record at grass court tournaments is 34-13, a 72% win rate. She won Wimbledon on this surface. She owns it. She breathes on it. And on the 18th of June at the Steffi Graf Stadion, Alexandra Eala took it from her. The Berlin Tennis Open is a WTA 500 event played on outdoor grass courts, with the venue's center court hosting up to 4,500 fans. A tournament that acts as a preview for Wimbledon in both play and atmosphere. This is not a minor stop on the calendar. 6 of the top 10 ranked players were in action, including world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, world number 2 Elena Rybakina, 3rd ranked Jessica Pegula, and Coco Gauff. This was a field stacked with champions, with finalists, with players who have lifted trophies under the most suffocating pressure the sport can generate. And yet, on this evening, none of them delivered a result as seismic as what Eala produced on centercourt.now. Let us dissect the architecture of this victory, because the scoreline alone, 7-5, 6-4, does not tell you how this match was won. It tells you that Eala won. It does not tell you how she survived. It does not tell you how she engineered one of the most tactically sophisticated performances of her career against a player designed physically and technically to overpower her. Start with the serve. Eala's first serve percentage landed at 69%. Now, in isolation, that number does not scream dominance. It is respectable, it is solid, but it is not the kind of figure that typically wins you a match against the world number 2. And yet, context is everything. Entering Berlin, questions remained about a serve that has frequently come under pressure against elite opposition. In Rome, Rybakina broke her 4 times. Coco Gauff, Linda Noskova, and Karolina Muchova have all exhibited the shot during dominant victories this season. Former world number 9 Andrea Petkovic had publicly identified the serve as Eala's Achilles heel, noting that the serve is very inconsistent. She has those weeks where she can't make first serves and the second is very attackable. Against that backdrop, 69% was not merely acceptable, it was a statement of defiance. Eala did not overhaul her serve overnight. She managed approached it, she placed it, she used it as a platform rather than a weapon, understanding that against Rybakina, the serve does not need to win the point outright. It needs to start the right conversation. She varied her placement intelligently, mixing wide serves to drag Rybakina off the court with body serves that jammed the Kazakh's long levers, denying her the space she craves to uncoil that lethal forehand. When the first serve landed, Eala won a high percentage of those points, estimated in the range of 63 to 65%, not because she was blasting aces, but because she was constructing points from the very first ball, stepping inside the baseline after serve, taking time away, and forcing Rybakina to react rather than dictate. The breakpoint conversion tells one of the most compelling stories of the entire match. 3 of 7, 43%. On paper, that is a conversion rate that should make a coach wince. 7 breakpoint opportunities against Rybakina, and you only convert 3. But here is what that number conceals. You do not get 7 breakpoint opportunities against Elena Rybakina unless you are consistently threatening her service games, unless you are returning with depth, unless you are making her play extra balls on a surface where the server is supposed to dominate. The 2022 Wimbledon champion and reigning Australian Open winner owns one of the most feared serves in the women's game, holding serve at an elite rate throughout 2026. Rybakina is not a player who gives breakpoints. She does not double fault her way into trouble on grass. You have to earn every single look at her serve, and Eala earned 7. She converted 3 breaks of serve against the world number 2 on grass. 3 moments where Eala looked at the biggest serve in the women's draw and said, "Not today." The first set was a masterclass in resilience. Rybakina came out firing, as she always does. That flat, heavy first serve, the deep returns designed to push opponents behind the baseline. The early games were tight, with both players holding comfortably. But as the set progressed, Eala began to find her range on return. She started reading Rybakina's serve direction earlier, cheating half a step to the left on second serves, and it paid dividends. Eala broke Rybakina's serve and clawed back from a deficit. She had tied the first set at 4-4 with 3 straight games, a run that shifted the entire complexion of the match. Momentum in tennis is not a gradual thing. It is a wave, and you either ride it or you drown. Eala rode it. Eala took a 6-5 lead with a break and earned a chance to serve out the set. She then served it out 7-5 with the kind of composure that belied her age, her ranking, and the enormity of the moment. The second set was where the tactical battle reached its highest frequency. Rybakina adjusted as elite players do. She began to target Eala's backhand with heavier topspin, trying to drag her into longer rallies and exploit the physical mismatch. But Eala countered brilliantly. She refused to be pinned behind the baseline. She took the ball on the rise, stepping into her backhand slice and using the low skid of the grass to keep the ball beneath Rybakina's strike zone. This was not power tennis. This was chess on grass. This was a player understanding that you do not beat Elena Rybakina by trying to out-hit her. You beat her by making her uncomfortable, by changing the rhythm, by denying her the clean, predictable ball strike patterns she thrives on. Eala S movement was extraordinary throughout this match. On grass, where footing is treacherous and the margin between a good split step and a slip can determine an entire game, Eala moved with a fluidity that suggested she had spent years on this surface. On grass, Eala is a rising power. She boasts a 22-9 record on the surface while achieving 2 of her biggest results on tour, a finals appearance at the 2025 Eastbourne Open and a title at the Birmingham Open. That experience showed. She covered the court laterally with the kind of low center of gravity agility that allowed her to reach balls that would have been winners against most opponents, and then she turned defense into offense with angled passing shots that left Rybakina rooted and bewildered. But let us talk about the moments that truly define this match, the crucible moments, the moments where talent meets nerve and only one survives. Serving for the match at 5-4 in the second set, Eala found herself staring down a situation eerily similar to the one she had faced just 24 hours earlier against Donna Vekic. The parallels were almost poetic. Against Vekic, the defining moment arrived while serving for the match at 5-4 in the second set. Vekic surged to a 0-40 lead, but Eala responded by saving all 3 breakpoints before sealing the match. She had been there before. She had survived before, and that muscle memory, that emotional scar tissue became her greatest asset. When Rybakina pushed her to critical points in the final game, Eala did not flinch. She did not retreat. She stepped up to the line and delivered. 3 of 7 break points converted across the match, but perhaps more importantly, she saved the ones that mattered most when her own serve was under siege. That is the difference between a player who can compete with the elite and a player who can beat them. Competing is showing up. Beating them is refusing to leave. The total points won in this match likely fell in a narrow range, somewhere around 54 to 56% for Eala, a margin that underscores just how tight and tactically demanding this contest was. Rybakina did not play poorly. Let that be clear. She served well, she struck the ball with her customary venom, and she created opportunities to swing the match in her direction. But Eala won the points that carried the most weight. She won the deuce points, she won the break points, she won the moments that turned a close match into a decisive one. In tennis, you do not need to win every rally, you need to win the right ones. Alexandra Eala won the right ones. And yet, honesty demands that we address a vulnerability that remains. For all the brilliance of this performance, Eala's second serve continues to be an area of genuine concern. When the first serve misfired, and at 69%, it misfired roughly 3 times in every 10. The second delivery was often a tentative, high-bouncing offering that Rybakina attacked with relish. Against a player of Rybakina's caliber, a weak second serve is an open invitation, and there were moments in this match where Eala was fortunate that her opponent's return found the net or sailed long. Petkovic's observation that the serve remains very inconsistent and that the second is very attackable has not been invalidated by this result. If anything, the win underscores how much more Eala could achieve if she develops a second serve with genuine kick or slice, a delivery that keeps the returner honest rather than licking their lips. This is the next frontier. This is the ceiling that must be shattered. Against Rybakina, she survived it. Against Sabalenka, against Świątek in a Grand Slam quarterfinal with the world watching, she may not be so fortunate. The second serve is the bridge between being a dangerous floater and being a consistent title contender. Eala must build that bridge. Now, let us zoom out. Let us understand what this result means beyond the scoreline, beyond the statistics, beyond the handshake at the net. Alexandra Eala's current singles ranking stands at world number 35 with a win-loss record of 24-15 in 2026. A victory of this magnitude at a WTA 500 event on grass against the second-ranked player on the planet does not just add a line to her resume, it rewrites the narrative. Her singles run earlier this year contributed to a career-high ranking of world number 29 on March 16, 2026. This result in Berlin will push her closer to that peak again, and more importantly, it sends a seeding message ahead of Wimbledon. Every ranking point matters in the weeks before the All England Club opens its gates, and a run to the quarterfinals or beyond in Berlin could be the difference between entering Wimbledon as a seed and entering as an unseeded player who could draw a top 10 opponent in the first round. The stakes are existential. Consider the trajectory. In 2025, her breakout season saw her break into the top 100 after a semifinal run at WTA 1000 Miami, where as a wild card she registered back-to-back top 10 wins over number 5 Madison Keys and number 2 Iga Świątek. Her breakthrough at the 2025 Miami Open established her as one of the Philippines' most prominent athletes, drawing comparisons to Manny Pacquiao. From there, her year-end ranking was a career-high number 50, and now, in 2026, she has won a title in Birmingham, reached quarterfinals in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, advanced to the 4th round at Indian Wells and Miami, and has just toppled the world number 2 on grass. This is not a flash in the pan. This is not a single result propped up by a favorable draw or an opponent's bad day. This is a pattern. This is a player ascending with purpose, with structure, with the kind of incremental, relentless improvement that separates the temporarily dangerous from the permanently elite. She was recognized in 2026 by Forbes Asia as one of their 30 under 30 icons in entertainment and sports for elevating the Philippines in global tennis. She speaks English, Spanish, and Tagalog. She cites Maria Sharapova as an influence and has trained with Rafael Nadal. She carries the national flower of the Philippines in her hair at Wimbledon, courtesy of Nike. She is not merely a tennis player. She is a movement. She is the proof that greatness does not require geography, does not require legacy, does not require the infrastructure of a tennis superpower. It requires will, it requires work, and it requires the courage to stand on the biggest stages and refuse to be small. And the message to the rest of the tour, it is simple and it is terrifying. Rybakina might be a former Wimbledon Open winner, but she hasn't won a grass court title since her title run at SW19 in 2022. The grass is no longer her private kingdom. The surface that was supposed to shield the elite, that was supposed to reward the big servers and the established champions, it has been breached. And the player who breached it is 21 years old, ranked 35 in the world, and showing absolutely no signs of slowing down. The Vekic victory further strengthened a growing belief that grass may be the surface best suited to her aggressive ball striking and early court positioning. If that is true, and the evidence is now overwhelming that it is, then Wimbledon is not a dream for Alexandra Eala. It is a destination. Remember this evening. Remember June the 18th, 2026. Remember the Steffi Graf Stadion. Remember the grass still bearing the scuff marks of a match that will be replayed and analyzed and debated for years. Remember the scoreline 7-5, 6-4. Remember the first serve at 69% that somehow impossibly was enough. Remember the 3 break points converted out of 7. Each one a dagger, each one a declaration. Remember a 21-year-old wild card from Manila who walked onto center court against the second best player on the planet and refused, categorically, emphatically, heroically refused to be intimidated. This was not luck. This was not an anomaly. This was not Elena Rybakina losing a match. This was Alexandra Eala winning one. There is a difference, and if you watched closely, you saw it in every serve she placed, in every return she angled, in every split step she timed to perfection on that treacherous, beautiful grass. You saw it in her eyes when the pressure mounted and she chose, consciously and deliberately, to attack rather than defend. You saw it in the way she walked between points, unhurried, unfazed, unbothered by the weight of the moment and the magnitude of the opponent. I told myself that she's fighting back, but I'm also a fighter, she said after her previous match. A fighter, not a prodigy, not a talent, not a prospect. A fighter, and fighters do not peak after one victory. Fighters do not celebrate and go home. Fighters look at what they have done and ask, what is next? Wimbledon is next. The top 20 is next. A Grand Slam quarterfinal, a semifinal, a final. They are all next. The road is long and the field is brutally deep, and the second serve still needs work, and the consistency over 7 matches in a fortnight has not yet been proven. But the foundation is laid. The belief is forged. The world has been notified. This is not the end. This is the beginning. Alexandra Eala, 21 years old, world number 35, wild card, champion of Birmingham, conqueror of Rybakina, the Philippines' finest, and she is only getting started.